recap of last time. We were finally kind of found the secret tunnel under the Noble Hand Temple after we escaped, and it turned out it was kind of part of this cult secret organization called the Urzatsuri, which was this strangely atheistic cult that doesn't believe in the gods, didn't believe in the gods, but doesn't believe that the gods actually save the world. They believe that like people of the world and mankind essentially save the world on their own, and they basically work in the shadows to maintain that secrecy in a method to essentially keep the islands lifted there thousands of feet above the surface of the planet that they do. And we discovered that the Supreme Watcher, Tion, was actually part of this organization, was kind of a high-ranking member. You murdered him brutally, stole his things. I guess it's not stealing if he's dead. And found Watcher Sim's daughter, Bettany, who was also trying to discover his whereabouts as he went missing. When you kind of met with Bettany, kind of discovered things, you were able to find the treasure vault for the Urzatsuri, were able to recover a lot of your belongings along with some other magical items. And Bettany kind of suggested, as you guys were kind of deciding what to do next, she suggested that, hey, there's something else in this area that we haven't been able to discover, because I've noticed that other Urzatsuri cultists go in this room and they don't come out. So I'm not sure where they're going, because when I go there, there's nothing else in there. In so doing, you discovered a secret entrance that led even further down. And this space seemed much more ancient than the tunnels that were created for the Urzatsuri. That was much more man-made and recent and fresh. But the tunnels that you were able to kind of discover even further down were ancient, and they seemed to go down into the earth of this island for miles, 2 or 3 miles. And so you walk down this like very narrow, dark tunnel that kind of seemed to loop and wind its way down into the kind of underground area of this for a couple of miles. And you came upon this massive cavern that was hundreds of feet high, with glowing crystals and glowing fungi. And you discovered that it was kind of this ancient area called the Underdark, that also managed to get sucked up with the rest of the island as it was kind of scooped up in ancient times. And in this underground area, you saw that there was this huge stone bridge that was collapsing. You decided not to try jumping it or making it, and you found a separate way. As you discovered kind of other areas, you found that there was this kind of ramshackle little building that was made into one of the cave systems here. And inside were 2 dead Urzatsuri guards. And they seemed to have been bludgeoned to death. You noticed that one of them had their belongings taken, including their symbol. And so you suspected that it's possible maybe Watcher Sim was this person and he escaped and fled. As you try to discover a little bit more of what that was coming from, you ran into other creatures down here that seemed to be elves, but they had this dark purplish skin, almost black, and this like really stunning blonde hair, almost like platinum, just white. And some of you knew what these were. These were creatures of old that no one has seen on the surface, named the Drow. And hey Clayton, I think I'm getting just a little bit of echo from yours, by the way.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm hearing myself back. You kind of interacted with them for a bit and discovered that they apparently had some truce with the other Urzatsuri, and essentially allowed them to use this Underdark area as a means to get secretly from island to island. And the Drow essentially believed that you were Urzatsuri due to some really special persuading and acting from part of Lady Rowena and Zunis. In a very odd montage of New Jersey girlfriend, which worked out really well. And in kind of that interaction, you discovered that there is a special portal down here called a phase rush crystal, which basically allows people to travel from one crystal to another crystal with the use of an access key. However, that access key was on the persons of a mage that had gone missing, a Drow mage. And so the captain of the Drow asked if you could find the mage, they'll allow you to use the portal again. So you went going through the tunnel systems. You kind of looked around. One of you was basically hypnotized by this magical fungus that was basically a trap for this giant spider creature called a Drider, which is essentially half Drow, half spider, this cursed creature. And it almost killed you in a very bad way. It was pretty tough and just insane in its ferocity. But with a combined effort and some saving grace from the new weapon of Helm that Fad got, you were able to destroy this. And that's where we're going to pick up today. You recognized that it... excuse me, let me get that video back up. You recognized... I think it dropped me. Am I back? Yeah.
Your audio is back, but no video.
It's coming up. I think. Let me hit it back again. You recognized that it kind of like made this layer in here, and there seemed to be a lot of bones and corpses all around in this space. So that's where we're going to pick up now, as we're in the den of this now dread Drider, who is huge and kind of bleeding out on the floor. But we'll pick up from there after this very long, hard-fought battle.
Anna's internet went out, so she might be just a sec.
No worries.
Technical difficulties again. Sorry, on mostly my part.
No stress. Hey, this is the magic of playing D&D over the internet. One day we'll do a trip and we'll all play in person.
I mean, that we almost did at the bachelor party.
We did. We were very close.
Instead, I got the highest I've ever been, and I'm still recovering.
Yeah, but we could have played D&D on Sunday. You just wouldn't remember it.
All right, is Anna good? We're good.
So yeah, you're in the den of this Drider. It's dead. How would you like to proceed?
Can we kind of explore it? It looks like there might be only one way to get in and out, right? Unless can we go back down the way that it kind of sucked us back up?
Yeah, great question. So you can try to get out the same way. It's going to be a little tough. It clearly was made for this creature who could like pull something through with its webs. So you could try and go back in that space. You could also just try and walk out the main entrance, which you can kind of see going southward.
Okay. Seems like we should probably just go out the same way we came.
Yeah.
Or the other end.
Absolutely. Should we also, I'd like to propose that we check for the body of the Drow mage or, any other fortunate victims of this beast.
Oh, should we go through the bones and kind of see what we can
to see what we can see? Perhaps we can find this crystal.
Yeah, that's
every single time.
I'm into it.
Go ahead and roll an investigation check, Thad, if you wanted it, or anyone else who was searching.
I was.
I got 19.
Yeah.
I got 6.
So you do see several things in this area. So kind of on top of, like, just covered in these webs, it's a little hard to see, but there are just a litany of bodies of all types. You can tell with that not all of these creatures are humans. Some seem to be other types of animals. Some don't even seem to be like bone structures. They almost seem insect-like. You do notice, though, that kind of on top of most of this stuff, kind of just thrown haphazardly, is like a more fresh corpse, let's say. Although it is desiccated, like it seems like it's got no liquid left in it, and it is dark-skinned, and it does seem to be a Drow because the hair is still intact and it is white. Can't really tell its sex. It's pretty tough because it's just so not mangled, just like literally like all of its juices have just been sucked out. But you do notice that around its wrist is a bracelet made up of several different colored crystals. And that on that same arm, the same wrist with the bracelet, its hand is clutched very tightly on a staff. And the staff head looks to be a spider.
Dungeon Master, you said it was a Drow? I'm not familiar.
That's the same elven type creatures with a dark skin that were at the garrison.
Gotcha.
And a Drow is what we were.
Wait, what'd you say, Clayton?
A drow is the person we were looking for.
Oh.
Is
Yep.
indeed.
And we really needed to get in contact with her.
Or at least grab the crystal off of her body.
Or at least meet her when she introduces.
Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and try and grab the staff out of her, pry the staff from her grips.
Yeah, go for it.
So you pull the staff. Give me like just a athletics check.
I just want to show us
15.
We should show you our biceps.
Did you say 13 or 15?
15.
15, perfect. So yeah, you kind of pull that out with like your big, just meaty dwarven hand. Just a little slick from the booze that you can't help yourself but drink all the time. And it does come free, but you notice as you pull it free, the fingers just like fall off and disintegrate. They're so dry. It's almost just flesh. And just it falls out. But you have this staff in your hand. You can tell that it's magical in a way, although you're not 100% sure what it does.
I investigate it to see if I can find any magical properties.
Sure, roll an Arcana check for me. Just get a 1. It looks like you got a 1.
An 8.
Nice. You really can't tell. You assume that it's got something spidery about it because the top of it is a spider, but you don't really know.
Anyone else like to take a look at this, or should I just put it in my bag for the time being?
No, let's continue the investigation. We're here.
Mo, you want to?
Yeah. May Zunis roll an Arcana check?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Well, I wasted all of your time. It was a 3. Sorry.
Yeah, you don't know either. And I will say as well. So you find the staff, and then on the corpse as well, Rowena, you did see that there seems to be a crystal bracelet on her arm.
I'd like to take that off of her.
Okay, so you grab it. It does, as you hold it, kind of look at it. I'll say we'll keep that same investigation check. It does match the description of the crystal key that the Drow captain asked you to recover. So it seems like their mage is dead, sadly, but you do have their things.
Like a piece of work anyway. So I say, guys, let's take this crystal, backtrack to those guys, those Drow there, and before they, get any ideas about us, let's go in the teleportation thing.
So you got a couple ways again that you can go. You can try to go back the way you came, which would basically...
Before we head out, can I just really quickly try to see if the Drider has any other treasures or trinkets which might be better served in the Temple of Helm for the general public to see?
Oh, sure. Yeah, roll an investigation check.
Always with Helm.
Always with Helm. 11.
11. Not much, although I just want to double check. Rowena, you rolled a 19 on that investigation as well, right?
Yeah.
So you, with the rest of the corpses and the bodies that are there, you actually picked up 50 gold pieces just in your search as well. So there was some gold kind of down in there. You can.
Oh, I'd like to divide that amongst my friends.
Perfect. So if everyone just wants to remember that you have
What's 50 divided by 4?
a number.
It's 12 and a half, but I'll take 10.
Yeah, I'll say 12 gold pieces a piece, and whoever gets the extra can get the extra. So you've got that. Now, again, you can go one of two ways. You can continue to go southward here. You can continue to go down this way. Or you can continue to kind of move back the way you came and try to come back this way.
Say, guys.
Any particular preference?
I see. I mean, we've already seen where we came from, so we might as well go further.
Yeah, just go southward.
We're so deep anyway. Might as well come out the other
Let's
side.
move south.
So there's a couple different ways that you can go here. If you go south, you can again continue kind of down this path. And who's going first? Can I get a order of events here, or a marching order?
Zunis
I'll
is
go
in the
first.
back,
Since
baby.
Okay.
yeah, I will go first since my health is really good. I'll watch out for
I'll
you
go
guys.
second.
Ivo, can you
I'll
roll
go third, just nice and in the middle.
Perfect.
While we're having a conversation of general constitution and such, does anyone happen to have any way to help me feel a little bit less haggard? I feel as though I've been run over by at least a couple of carriages.
I think I have some spells that I do for actions. I have. Oh no, I don't have many of me healing, or do I? I guess we haven't taken a long rest since the last time. No, I can't help you.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'll heal myself so that I'm not a liability. I'm going to cast Cure Wounds upon myself.
Heal
Level
myself.
2.
That's what the kids are calling it these days.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was
And,
Nate and Matt's new freshman year of college.
It was a pretty good one, I think. I felt good about it. Thad, do me just a quick favor. Roll just a straight intelligence check.
Okay. Uh, 9.
I'm gonna check something. Would you say that you've been drinking?
A little bit, yeah, certainly.
So I'm gonna say with that intelligence drink and you're drinking, every time you take a little sip, you just feel a little bit of a pick-me-up, and you remember that you have this amulet that might have some properties that can make you feel less haggard.
Oh.
Perhaps I will use the amulet of drunkard. Is that what it's called?
I believe yes.
Yes. I'll make use of it. Do you happen to recall how many points of damage I can heal by taking a drink of wine?
Let me double check specifically, and I will let you know. I think it's 1d4, but let me triple check. While we're
As I'm fumbling with my wine.
it's actually 4d4 plus 4, so quite a bit. But you do have to drink a whole pint. So just put back that flask.
I need it. I'll do it. 34 plus 4?
Yeah, 4d4 plus 4. Just know you can't use it again until you take a long rest, basically. Next dawn.
Okay, good thing it's plus 4, because I rolled 2 ones to start us off. But that's 10, 11, 12, plus 4, 17?
17?
Wait, 16?
16. Awesome. All right, so that should put you at 21. Nice.
I will also, as I'm kind of like fumbling with my wine flask, I'll remind the group, at least when we were looking for the mage, we were following like the lights of a particular fungus. Is that correct?
Yes.
If we want to keep an eye out for some lights, we can certainly keep that in mind as we head down the path to the south.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about
Good
that.
idea, sir.
So, Ivo, you're kind of leading the charge. You've been through a big battle. You don't know this area well because you've gotten a little bit mixed up. I would like you to roll a survival check at disadvantage to see if you can figure out how to orient yourself in this cave system since you're leading the team. What'd you land on?
I cannot hear Clayton.
I don't think he's talking.
Oh, I think he is.
Maybe. Maybe he is. I don't know. Let me see if I can get him to put it in chat. Let's find out. I don't know. Hey, Clayton, can you hear us? We can't hear you.
I can't hear Clayton, but I can hear Lily.
Lily is gonna be a DM one day. I'm certain of it.
Oh.
Shots fired. Shots fired. No. Here, type in your roll though, and I'll keep you going. Okay, yeah. So you get a little bit lost, and I'm just gonna tell you where you go based on where you get lost. So you take this path south. And you kind of continue down, and you're like, oh, this looks interesting. I'm gonna go down this way. And what you discover, everyone in the group as they're following you sees a familiar sight. And that is these glowing mushrooms that kind of entranced many of you earlier. So you've kind of made a big circle. So all of you are back right before where you were before you got attacked by the Drider. So there's a couple different ways to go here. You can go back the way you came and try to figure that tunnel out, or you can go this way, that path kind of leading southwest, and see if that takes you a different place.
Dungeon Master, since we're here again, and as the local druggist, is there anything we can do with these glowing mushrooms?
Great question. Roll a nature check.
Oops. 2.
You don't know, but I'll tell you what. Roll a history check for me as well, just based on some of the context.
That's sweet of you.
I know. There, you might not know what they do, but we'll see if you remember something, because it actually has been brought
2.
up before. Yeah, you don't know.
2 again.
You have no idea.
We just don't know.
The only thing that you know, if you get too close with these things, because this happened last time, they will hypnotize you and you get stuck.
Got it. All right, so I guess we're moving on.
Well, I guess we have to decide if we want to just quickly return, as Rowena suggested, back to the captain before they get too wise about us, or if we want to venture further into the caves. I'm with Rowena. I think that we should just make our way right back to the Drow.
I admit, friends, my motivation might be inherently selfish, because when they said you could teleport to Wadep, I was intrigued, even though I'm not sure in my heart that it's time to go back.
Well, we got to get out of here and go somewhere.
That's true.
I am all
All
for the finding of Watcher Sim as quickly as possible.
Yes, go to Wadep so we can get Watcher Sim. That's what I meant.
So we're going to try to go back the way we came then. Let me get all of you here. So I'm just going to take one at a time.
You guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
I feel like I'm in an AT&T commercial.
So you circle back the way you came, and you have, if you want to go back the fastest, you can exit the way you got in here, which was hopping down this sort of like 10-foot ledge, and going right back to the garrison, getting the Drow captain on board, and going. Or if you want to go deeper into the Underdark on this area as well, you can go this way. If the game plan is to go back to the garrison as quickly as possible, it would be down. If you want to discover a little bit more, it would be this way, or it would be this way. Kind of depends. So it sounds like you want to go right back to the garrison then.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go, just because some of you guys are hurting really bad. I don't think we should mess around with these tunnels anymore, run into any more like spiders or anything like that. Let's just get out of here.
Dungeon Master, if we zero out on our hit points, do we have to be like carried? Are we a liability to our teammates, or do we die?
Yeah, great question. So technically you get knocked unconscious. Depending on how much your teammates love you, they might want to carry you, but yeah, you can't move on your own. You don't die immediately. You go into this unconscious state where basically you have to like roll 3 successful rolls to recover and be stabilized. You don't heal, you don't come back to life, but you don't bleed out. So it's basically like you could die if you fail certain checks, or you could stabilize and just remain unconscious. It depends on what exactly happens after you get to 0.
So basically, we're what Kim Jong Un was a couple weeks ago.
Correct.
Got it.
That's right. You're on the island. So it sounds like we're going back to the garrison.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we get back into the garrison, kind of walk through. You notice again that there are 2 Drow guards, kind of covering the door, so to speak. You see the locked gate leading into the Phage Resh crystal room, kind of cave system, glowing, although it's still locked. How would you like to proceed with this? Do you want to talk to the guard captains?
Can we talk to the one we talked to before?
You can try. Roll
I
just
think
a
we
straight,
Yeah,
Can I
Rowena,
tell
this is
which
all
one
up to
it is?
you.
yeah,
I think
roll
we
a straight
need to find
perception
Oh,
check.
no problem.
I just
Please
want-
perform for us.
All right. Well, lucky us. I got a 23 on perception.
Okay. So the same guard is not at the front door right now. Sounds like they've rotated out.
Shifts.
All right.
Is the captain up there?
You don't recognize him outside. Typically, the captain would be inside the garrison, so you can ask for him.
Oh,
We
true.
need the captain.
Gotcha.
We know that the captain is unable to assist with the transportation gem, and we now have what the mage uses to trigger this. So unless they can tell us what the mage did specifically to transport people, I don't know that the captain would be able to help us. These magical properties that might be beyond their comprehension.
It's a good point. We could just rush the portal and try and figure it out ourselves.
That's fair. I imagine maybe the crystals, once we get into it, will just start to activate, and we will just, I don't know, yell out the name of where we want to go.
Yeah. Do any of us have any idea how to actually use the portal?
You tried to find out last time, and the answer to that is astoundingly no. Like super no. Real no.
How about what
I
can
remember-
I ask Bethany?
Bettany was able, kind of in your assumptions, to discover that you needed the crystal key to activate it. That without it, you weren't able to. That the crystal key would allow you to change where it's kind of set to and kind of dial in on a different Phage Resh portal, but she didn't know how to do that. Bettany. I'll put Bettany here in this. So, guys, do you not remember the guard captain telling us that he would turn it back on if we came back? And it's locked.
Oh.
So, like, I don't know if either of you are going to get in there, but I think last time we tried to unlock it, it didn't go so well. So, like, maybe just talk to the guard captain? And I don't want to rain on your parade, but my dad is missing, so it would be helpful. Just saying.
Thank you.
Rowena, you're up. Let's talk to that captain.
Let's do it.
All right, dude. You coming with me?
I'm gonna let you take charge, but I'm in.
All right. I'd like to go talk to the guy outside.
Okay. So you walk up to him, and he kind of looks at you, and I think you get the impression the guard captain kind of informed of your presence in this area, because he doesn't really say anything. He just looks at you and kind of nods. Yes?
I don't think we met before. I am Roberta, and we think we found something that might be of interest to your captain. We set up the whole thing with him. But it's this maybe crystal situation, but you know me, I'm not exactly sure. So could we talk to Captain, please? He knows us. We talked to him earlier. It was all on the up and up.
And are you guys doing what you did last time where Zunis is translating?
Oh, yeah.
It's all on the up and up.
Solid. So he
Yeah.
kind of looks over you, and back in Elvish he speaks back, and he shares. Well, that's good news, I suppose. If you need, I can get the captain for you, and I can bring him out for you to speak with. I believe he's expecting you. Correct? Yes?
Thank you. That would be great. Yes, he is expecting us.
So he kind of like turns around, opens the gate door, walks in, comes back. You see like the new captain, the captain come out, and he kind of looks at all of you, kind of looks around, and he goes, "Oi, okay. Well then, were you able to find them? Were you able to find the mage?"
Good news and bad news. Bad news, the mage was killed by a giant spider. Good news, we killed the spider and we found the crystal. At least I think it's the crystal.
Yeah, well, I guess you get what you get. With sometimes it's not always the best, but at least you have the crystal. That's the more important part. We can probably just get a new mage. What's the word there?
I agree.
What do you overlanders say? Sucks to suck, I think. So, I'll certainly let them know that we need a new mage here soon enough. But if you need to use the portal, I can activate it for you now. It's quite kind of you to be able to bring this back.
Much so, you've treated us, I can honestly say, with almost more kindness than anybody else on our journey.
Yeah, us Drow get a bad reputation, but we certainly try to do our best. So he kind of walks off.
Thank you. I will look into your nihilistic life viewpoint.
walks down, goes to the portal gate, kicks it open. Like you hear this like big key as he like swings this huge, massive metal gate open. And he kind of walks you guys inside, kind of signals you guys to go through. And he kind of puts his hands out for it. Who took the staff, by the way? Thad, I think you had it, right? So he kind of sees that you've got it in your hand, and he goes, I'll be needing that back as well. Our mage will require it, so kind of waits for you to give him the staff.
Lady, I look to Rowena, of course, playing the part of humble servant once more.
Yeah, Servant Thad, I think that, it sucks, but I think we just should better give it to him. This is like the most we've ever, gotten this far.
As you wish, and I pass the...
Gives it back. You notice just for like a moment that the guards behind you were a little bit tense, but as you hand back the staff, they do seem to decompress a little bit. So he turns, he grabs the staff, he sets it down, and strangely enough, when he lets it go, it just stays there. It seems strangely like physics don't apply to this thing. It's just standing straight upright. He takes the crystals on it, and he kind of looks over at Zunis, knowing that he's the one that speaks, and he says, I can only make this go to Wadep. Is that, hoping that's where you wanted to go, right?
That's where we'd like to go.
That's great.
So he puts the purple crystal kind of on top of the staff, so the rest of the crystals kind of hang down this bracelet a bit. And you can't really tell what he says. This is very unintelligible. None of you understand this language, but you do see, as he talks to it in this very, it's not guttural. It's almost more like it's in the back of his, molars. It's just a lot of as he's speaking. And you see the portal start to glow this very bright, even brighter than it's already glowing purple. And as you look at the portal, kind of letting the light go through your fingers, trying to see what's happening, you notice that the crystal kind of used to look very rigid, and now it almost feels like it's rippling, kind of like almost like a jello, like it's just undulating. And you kind of look over at the captain. The captain looks at Zunis again, and he says, well, you should know the drill. Step right in. It'll take you where you want to go.
Go team.
Yeah. Into the portal we go.
So is everyone stepping into the
Thanks,
portal?
boss.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
maybe we should hold hands for good measure or something.
Buddy system. Buddy up.
No social distancing. Let's get in there, man.
We don't need any social distancing in D&D. So you all grab hands, kind of jump in, and you feel yourself kind of be pulled through this thing, and it's almost like walking through this, almost like walking through the gelatin. You're as it's stretching over your face, and you feel it just kind of burst into it, and you've broken the seam. And for a moment, it's just white. All you see is bright light everywhere. And then immediately after that, it's pitch dark. And the darkness is there for what feels like minutes, hours, and eternity. It's hard to gauge time. But once you kind of come back to your senses, you notice that you've now stepped into a very new space. There is nothing else around you that looks like the previous area. Let me get it on the map for you so you can see it. There is a giant phase rush crystal glowing purple again behind you, and it's still kind of undulating as you kind of all walk through one by one into this new space. And I'm gonna say,
Is
Rowena,
it danger? Does it seem ominous or dangerous?
Great question. Roll a perception check for me, Zunis.
Dude, nothing makes me happier than when I get to roll a perception check because it means I asked a valuable question. 16.
Nice. So
Oh, 17 actually. Sorry.
Even
Plus
better.
1.
Visually around you, you don't see much. It seems very dusty and dirty. While this still seems a little bit like the Underdark because there's a slight purple glow everywhere, and you definitely seem underground. There's a ceiling. It seems to be closer to the surface based on just like the mechanics of the space. It almost looks like it's dug out. And as you look around, you can kind of tell why. There are pickaxes and other mining tools in there, as if this is a mine. Around you in this small chamber that you're in, which is maybe 20 feet wide, 30 feet wide at most. Not too tall, maybe 10, 15 feet tall at most. Just enough, like this crystal is almost scratching the surface of the roof. Almost as if this mine was dug down and they discovered the crystal here. And on the floor in front of you, you see the bodies of two people. One of them, very clearly, based on what you rolled, you can tell the Erzatsarai symbol is like hanging off of his neck kind of away. So you can tell these are two dead Erzatsarai guards. Currently in this space, that's all you see. But you don't hear, you rolled a 17. You do hear something. It's super faint. It's just a very steady, but simple, almost like a cricket's chirp. But it doesn't sound quite insectoid. It almost sounds mechanical in a way. Kind of like a chirp, 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 chirp. And it's very faint.
Something seems off about that chirp, guys.
Can we tell how the bodies, how they died?
Roll a medicine check.
I don't know if that's. I have a strong point. Let's check out. Oh no, it's +0, so that's good. 4.
You can't 100% tell on one of them. They just seem to have been killed. One, though, is pretty obvious, even with that. Like, his head is bashed in.
As far as I'm concerned, the only good Erzatsarai is a dead Erzatsarai. So this progress in the right direction.
I'm curious. Sorry for the break in the game. Just D&D quick question.
Sure.
How many bonus points can you have, like, max for, say, medicine, theoretically?
Great question. It's a little hard to say, but typically most skill points, they can give you, like, +11 or, like, 14 in some cases.
That's how far you can max it. Okay,
I
cool.
think so.
All right,
I might be
back to the
wrong
game.
on that, but it can get pretty high. And then there's other things that you can do to even add on top of that, so it can get pretty nuts.
Cool. Also, I'd like to say hi to Katie. I saw her peek her head in.
We got to get Katie to
Katie
play
is
with us one
hiding
day.
just off camera.
One day Katie will play with us.
Next adventure. Is
Katie-
it hard to incorporate people into current adventures?
No, I can make it
No,
work.
Nate said he wants to do it.
Yeah, if Katie wants to play, Katie, you are welcome. We'll get you in.
We should get Emily, too.
I was thinking we should get Laura.
And Anna's
She's not
sister,
gonna
yeah.
Yeah, it's potentially.
We can make.
We have a Katie cameo today.
But yeah, hard to
Seems
tell
like-
how these
Can
guys
we-
died.
Gotcha.
Should
And
we?
then
You go ahead.
it looks like there's 2 different ways to exit this area. Can we decipher anything about, which path, anything different about one path versus the other?
Can you?
Maybe I have dark vision up to 60 feet.
You can
Potentially,
see.
we could look to see if there are footprints or any like disturbed area.
Yeah, roll a perception check for me. Both of you, if you were interested. We'll see what we land on. I'll see if I can give you some more context
Yeah.
clues.
You're speaking to Thad
Ooh.
and Ivo.
20.
Take that
Not
one.
a perfect roll,
10.
but a 20.
So, it's hard to say exactly. What you can tell about these pathways, the light coming from both seems to be consistent. It's not a lot, but it seems to be consistent. So you're pretty certain these areas pretty much lead to the same bigger chamber outside. So it might not matter so much which one you take. What you can, though, tell is that the ground is sloping just a little bit. So it seems like the tunnel actually goes deeper towards what would be the right of the screen. But it seems to go upwards towards the left of the screen, but just slightly.
For me, it's always beneficial to have the high ground. I'd say towards the left.
I agree with you, Thad.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we were trying to get out. We started in the dungeon many moons ago, and we're trying to get out of the underworld. So let's head up.
For sure.
I remember when we were in jail.
You start walking this way, and are you guys trying to be sneaky, or are you just going for it?
Yeah,
Let's be
I have my boots.
sneaky.
Okay. So I'd like everyone to give me a stealth check then.
If we're trying to be sneaky, would you like me to stay behind? I say to everyone.
Yeah.
DM, I'd like to wear my boots of elven kind if that's allowed, and because I have advantage on stealth, I get to roll with advantage, right?
Yes, I believe for both of those things should be fine. I'll double check the advantage roll, but for right now, let's go with it. Why not?
6 for me. I have a -1.
I have 17.
Okay. And then
I had a 5.
Okay.
5.
So you start walking through it, and as you guys are kind of following behind Rowena, you kind of hear Thad mutter just a little drunkenly because he tried to heal up. He just like, I'm just gonna stay here, guys. It's just a little loud, and that kind of makes Zunis turn around. He's not really paying attention, and he just like accidentally whacks like John, like one of the pillars holding up the roof, the mine rooftop. And it's just this loud
Too true.
so you're pretty certain that you're not very sneaky at this point. But you do enter in a little bit. And we'll say that since Rowena went first, you do notice this space kind of open up into another area. And it seems to be
This looks like
a mine. There is a rail system leading downwards. It's still pretty dim. For those that have dark vision, you can see a pretty good amount in here. What you notice that in this space, that chirp just seems to be a little bit louder, although it's very faint. But you look around and you don't see really anybody moving. There's no one here. You start to kind of look around a little bit more. And then you really start to grasp a little bit more of what's in front of you, and it seems a little horrific. There are corpses littered around this place in different kind of places. They all seem to
Did
be
we
wearing...
just miss the police?
You might have. That's the sad part. So you do see that these corpses are wearing, seems to be mining gear. They've got like leather overalls. Some had like ramshackle helmets that were kind of like hard hats. There are torches that are like some still burning next to them, where some of this dim light is coming from. But there's probably like at least 10 or so in this space.
What do you see up
And-
there?
What are we supposed to? Just lots of corpses everywhere. And DM, were we supposed to see the red light, or was that
Yeah.
premature that I
No,
saw?
The
That
light
was
that
that
you
was
see-
me. That was,
Yeah, that was that's that little magic wand icon from the map. If you want to indicate something on there.
yeah, I got.
Oh,
I was
I
trying to move
know,
the map
I
around, but I was still on the. That was on me. So do they look like they all kind of died in the same way? That they all kind of like some sort of injury, brute force or whatnot.
Yeah, roll a medicine check, but I'm going to give you advantage because you're trying to compare it to something you already saw. So roll it twice, and we'll see if they
Cool.
died the same way.
Let's check it.
In the party now.
Good, because that one was
Away while that
really
that's
bad
happening.
roll. I get a 3.
Even with advantage?
Yeah, I rolled a 2 and a 3.
Rock on. It's really hard to tell. You don't know. But I will say this.
No one else. Does no one else want to check?
On these particular corpses, just with your eyes and your passive perception, you don't see any blood. You don't see any wounds. Can't tell how they died. But you can just see pretty passively, these don't seem to be injured, at least not physically.
And as we move more into this area, does the chirping get louder and louder, or is it kind of the same level of chirpiness?
Through this space, you can hear it pretty distinctly. It's still, I wouldn't say faint. It's very clear that there is a noise coming from this area. As you look around, you can't quite tell exactly what. Since Rowena and Ivo kind of dived in first, I'm going to have y'all... I'm going to let you do either or. I'll let you pick. You can roll a perception check, or you can roll an arcana check.
I'm going to do perception because arcana is not good for me.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll do arcana.
Okay. And then just let me know what y'all got.
So I got a 18.
Okay.
I got 5. Not good.
Okay. So, you kind of, as you're like scanning the room, investigating these corpses, just trying to get a lay of the land, as you kind of go through, you swear you hear this chirp chirp come right from this space here. See it on the screen? It's kind of like glowing blue.
Yeah.
And you notice that as it kind of like chirp chirp, and it just audibly caught you. Like that's the direction where that noise came from. At least one of them. And that's where you start to notice this chirp sound is coming from a few different places. It's not one, but there is one almost certainly right in front of you. But it's hard to tell what's causing it because all you see are rocks and stone and other earth from this mine.
I investigate the ceiling. Let's look up.
We can roll a perception check, but investigation would be more physical, so you'd be trying to touch things.
Yeah, just trying to spot if there's any strangeness up above us.
For sure. Roll a perception check for me.
And
yeah, nothing really. The roofs are not near. It's not as cavernous as the previous area that you were in. This is very much more like what would have been until all the corpses, you assume, an active mine. The roofs, the ceilings of this are really only about 15 feet at most high. Where you guys are all at now, since you kind of came down to, I will say you can hear water, like rushing water. There's a bit of a cliff that kind of goes down a little bit deeper, so you assume there might be a bit of an underground ravine here. But you do hear that chirp kind of coming from a few different places. And as you kind of see that,
is it dark?
It's dim. It's not pitch black, but it's pretty dim in here. There are a few still lit torches from the bodies of the corpses, as if they were lit while they had them.
I'm gonna go ahead and cast light on my sigil of helm.
Okay, so you cast light. The whole area really glows brighter, and you can see about the same as what you can. You can tell, I will say, with light, since it's casting a little bit brighter out there, that there is a bridge that kind of goes through. There's another one down. It seems to cross this ravine, this underground ravine that you're noticing. It does have water at the bottom. Do me a favor, roll a perception check one more time now that you cast light. Actually, no, we're going to do this differently. I do want you to roll an investigation check because I think it'll be a little more clear.
Okay. 15.
Can we tell what they're mining?
Yeah, it might be a little bit tough. You don't have any like metalworking background or any proficiency with that stuff, right?
Right. Correct.
So you probably wouldn't know, but almost certainly because he's a dwarf, Thad would know. This seems to be an iron mine.
Wow.
Hard to tell 100%, but you can kind of make out the veins of the ore in the earth here.
Is there an actual history of dwarves mining, or did Snow White just make that up?
No, according to D&D lore, it is a big thing.
Interesting.
Of course, we're miners. That's exactly what we're known for. Mining and drinking beer.
So
there's a nice take on it in Northern Style where they eat the dirt.
When you do cast light, you notice, for the most part, nothing really changes in the room. but you swear you saw one of the rocks flicker. Just for a second. Almost like the best out-of-game reference I can give you. It's almost like there was a projection that just went whoop and came back.
And is this something that I would have seen, in Dwarven society in the past?
No, that flicker seems really strange.
And where did he see that at?
He saw that from that location where you noticed the sound was, well, at least one of the sounds was kind of being very strange. This little blue glowy space.
Ooh.
I think we should investigate.
So who's going to try and do that for us?
Does anyone have any? I'm trying to think of something that we can investigate it with that might be can like easily detect magic or like invisibility or something like that without actually like walking in that space in case it gets so dangerous.
So as you guys are kind of looking through, Bettany kind of pipes up and she says, "Listen, I'm pretty sure I could probably look at this for you. Seems like something strange is going on. I don't know what's up with these bodies, but I think I might be one of the most magically equipped here. So if you need a little bit more, I can give you some information."
You are a gift from the divine. Please.
She kind of looks at you. She kind of looks at you and she's like, "Oh, child." She kind of goes back about her business.
DM, did we actually confirm that we are in Wadep?
You have not.
So we could be
Anywhere.
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so
Can I sense it?
Can you sense if
yeah, is
you're
there
in
any
Wadep?
kind of like
Yeah.
Roll a history check.
Okay. Ooh. 20.
So you can't sense it just like magically, but you know that there are not very many mines in all of Yarn. Mining is not a very easy thing to do on a floating island, even though they're pretty deep. There is only a couple of iron mines that you know of. One is in a mining town called Griffin in Wadep. So if you're somewhere, you may be Griffin Mine in Wadep.
nice?
So let's see if Bentley can tell this. I'm going to give her advantage because of reasons that I might share. Yeah. So Bentley kind of looks at all of you, and she kind of shares. She says, "Okay, this definitely feels familiar. I'm pretty sure I've done this before." She kind of walks up to one of the pillars, and she just like swipes her hands on one of the rocks, and it flickers again. And she's like, "This isn't a rock." And as she kind of like does it one more time before she actually connects with it, you can tell the illusion goes away. And what you're left with is this strange mechanical cube that seems to be this like cube of metal kind of crumpled together and vibrating just a little bit. And it seems to just every few seconds, maybe even more consistently than that, on a very repeated pattern, chirp, 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 chirp.
We found it. Something's off about this.
DM, are you saying a cube or a Q?
A cube.
Cube.
Mhm.
And it's making, we can tell it's making the chirping noise.
Mm-hmm. Chirp, chirp, chirp. It's super consistent.
Weird.
Like almost on a specific time. And you can tell there are other areas in this space where you're hearing a similar noise.
Right. Does it? Can we? Does it look purely mechanical, or can we tell if it's like any sort of other? Not like a magical, but like, does it have a glowing power source or something like that, or does it purely look like a machine?
Roll an Arcana check.
God, I knew you were gonna say that. I'm not the best guy for it, but let's try it. I got 18.
So it doesn't. It's very strange. It's really, even with that, hard to ascertain exactly what this is. You've never seen anything the like of it. It doesn't seem purely mechanical, although it does seem like it was made of metal and fused together somehow, as if it was created. But you get the sense that there is probably something magical about this. Yes.
Look, I feel as though if these constructs were aggressive, they would have attacked us the moment we set foot up on this plateau. I think perhaps they're just mining materials. No, sometimes it's just rats. Let's cross the bridge, if you will.
Okay, Thad, you're drunk. And you're just babbling things from prior days. Let's stay out of this for a while, Thad. Let me talk to the more level-headed members of the group here. But why, if they're simple mining machines, why were they covered then? I mean, like, I feel like something is a little suspect if they're were covered up, and there's a bunch of dead bodies around here. This does not all seem like it's the normal mining procedure. But I feel like they're no threat to us. So I guess assuming that they're not, it doesn't make any sort of movement or change anything upon seeing us. I don't know if we need to exactly do anything else with it. I feel like we're just trying to get out of here. So back to you guys, but I feel like we should just proceed unless they kind of like, it starts to move or seem like a threat.
I agree.
We'll check before we move on that all of the bodies show absolutely no sign of life. There are no survivors of whatever happened here.
Roll. Do two things for me. I'm gonna have you roll an investigation check on the bodies, and as well a medicine check on the bodies.
I'll do investigation first, okay. For which I got a 6. And then I'll do a medicine check, which is a 24.
So you can't really find much, although you can tell that they're dead, like all of them. As you kind of investigate and look through it, and you know this because you've been a healer for a long time, this type of stuff is not new to you, seeing dead bodies and seeing what it looks like and seeing people come to harm. You are almost certain that these corpses, the way they became corpses was through some type of poison. There are no physical damages. There doesn't seem to be any internal damage. You can tell their bones are all still intact. You can even tell that some of them have like this frothing kind of mouth. You said you rolled a 24?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a little bit more on that as well. So you've been a dwarf all your life. You know that digging into the earth is not always the safest thing, and sometimes you can hit a gas leak or something, and that can kill people. But that's usually through some type of suffocation. That does not seem to be the case here. These beings were poisoned, and not through any natural means. But the way they seem to be strewn about seems strange with that, because there are still lit torches. So what happened to them couldn't have been sudden, would have been planned, but the way they're arranged looks like it was, like it just happened.
So something interesting said there made me think about the old, the chirping in the old, with a canary in a mine shaft kind of deal. Maybe what we're hearing is the chirping is some sort of like warning system going off that, while not naturally killed, but like some sort of gas or something was released here to kill all these people. So I'm just wondering if that's what the chirping is. If that's what, it still doesn't explain why it was covered up, but wondering if that's why all of a sudden we're hearing the chirping go off. It's some sort of like warning sign that there was something at least dangerous in the air for a while.
Perhaps.
Good call.
Certainly, indicator that we should keep moving.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go as quick as possible, I think. Still stealthy, but a little bit quicker at our pace.
Do we want to take the topmost bridge or the secondary?
Well, both of them look like they have tracks on them. So I wonder, my concern is at some point being run over by a mining cart, but also if people have any inkling there was some sort of disaster down here, they might not be coming down.
I guess they lead to the same place. So yeah, let's look for the less traveled track, so potentially we aren't hit by any mechanical situations, and then take that bridge.
So
Yeah.
I'll say you can see that pretty easily. There doesn't seem to be any movement down here. You don't assume that there is. You can still hear chirping on the other side of the bridge. One seems to have it louder than the other one, but you can't 100% tell. The northern one, I will say, seems like it's got chirping, almost near like the very end of the bridge. So
Let's go to the not northern one.
I agree.
So you guys start
Yeah,
to
I
cross
agree.
that bridge, and you do come into a new space. That kind of leads you into.
Oh,
this
I know what this is.
What is it?
It's a turntable. I love
Yeah.
trains.
Trains are cool. So yes, you do come into a space that was meant as a bit of a junction for mining cars and those kinds of things. You see more pickaxes and things in front of you. No more corpses. Seems like they were all kind of littered further in for whatever reason. You hear chirping coming from a few different places. In front of you, I will say that you see a pathway that kind of slopes down. You assume it might be a safety runoff for the ravine in case anyone fell. But you hear chirping pretty distinctly from a few different spots. Here and here, as they're kind of around you.
Well, I feel like we should just keep moving as straight, I guess, now to just forward, not necessarily back up. Unless in that way, I guess I could point it out too. Unless you guys object, I feel like we should just keep trying to get out of this area as best as possible.
Yeah, so we start moving
I'm
forward.
in favor of Ivo's proposition.
So as you start moving forward, you hear the chirping start to quiet just a little bit. Just like chirp, 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 and it starts to get quieter but faster. Chirp, 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 chirp. Boom! And there was a huge explosion from the rear area of where you came from. And the kind of behind you, you hear this massive explosion that seems like it was contained, and portions of the vine wall just crash down, basically burying the corpses and the phase rush portal. All of those things are just covered in this stuff. You still hear the same churching.
Is the portal damaged at all?
You can't see it. It's covered in dirt. The whole area, the bridges have collapsed. The one that was chirping more has completely broken through. It's basically all you have access to now is this space and the mine around what you're seeing. So that chirping is still going on in front of you. It's chirp, 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 chirp.
It seems like we've got to move.
Guys, I think we got to get out of here a little quicker. Let's double time it. Let's go.
Keep moving forward, Ivo.
So you,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, not to answer for Ivo.
Yeah.
You guys keep moving forward, and as you like hear this huge explosion, you're like, "We got to get out. This is gonna explode." You're running and you're running and you're running, and as you're running, you see one of the strangest things you have ever seen. None of you have seen this before. It is a weird metallic creature that is kind of like a big cube with eyes. And I'll get a picture in chat here in a second. And it's dragging the corpse of a miner. And its eyes, it's got a mouth, it's got an eyes, but it's completely expressionless. It's just like dragging this miner in. kind of looks at you.
I was gonna ask if it had a smile.
Nope, no expression.
I
It is
get it.
completely devoid of
Okay.
expression. Kind of looks at you, sees that you're doing that, stares at you for a little bit, and then just goes back to dragging the miner deeper into the building, or into the mine. Next to it, you see another one of those beings, where there is a corpse that it's just placed, and it goes into a cube form, and it looks like the chirping device now that you saw earlier. So I'm going to link it in chat so you guys can see it. But it is essentially this minus the wings.
That is a weird
Oh
thing.
wow.
That's awesome.
Does it also have a bow and arrow?
It does have a quiver, although you can't see the bow.
Quiver.
May I ask where you got the image? It's just cool.
D&D Beyond. These are D&D characters.
Nice.
But you see this
Does it have a
thing?
monocle?
It does. It does have a lens, yes.
Good at seeing the optometrist twice a year.
Correct.
That's what I drew, but it was before you said that there was no smile.
So yeah, that's what you see. It doesn't seem to even necessarily respond to you being around it. One has turned into what you now know to be some type of exploding device, as it's and the chirping is chirp 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 chirp. This one is still moving this corpse into position for something.
Where are those things at?
And where in the map are they? Sorry, DM.
Great question. They are essentially right in front of you. So if I can mark them here, I'll put them in red. One is right around this corner, and one seemed to be a little bit deeper onwards. So they're pretty close. You kind of stumbled into them as they were walking into this tunnel shaft, but you they haven't they don't inherently seem hostile. They haven't tried to attack or anything.
And the one that's right in front of us, not on the right, but on the path in front of us, is that in a cube now, or is that the one walking with the dead body?
The one walking with the dead body was the one that's more to the west. The one kind of northern is the one that just turned into a cube after it seemed to have placed a corpse.
Got it.
We try and divert down this other path
No.
to the left.
So you start.
Yeah.
walking-
I'd say so.
Yeah.
You start walking down this area, and you do notice that it's sloping upwards. It seems to be as if there are a couple different ways out of this area. All of them, though, do seem to slope upwards. This one seems narrower and a bit darker than the other ones.
That's fine. We've been in some narrow, dark situations before. Let's go that way. Let's try to avoid these cube folk.
So yeah, they stay in that space. You start walking in there. You guys all kind of head down this space. As you're doing so, Bettany shares, hey, this is I'm just gonna do something, and I don't need anyone to freak out right now. I'm just a little concerned with all this stuff, so I'm just gonna play a little safe if you guys don't mind me hanging back and just being a little bit more quiet. And so she kind of looks around, and you notice again that she's got these like tattoos all over her body. Some are of musical notes kind of lingering. They kind of go down her sleeve, like on her arm, on her skin. Some kind of loop up to her neck. One of them that kind of loops around her neck that are these like almost ethereal looking music notes glow. They start to glow, and she becomes just a little bit more like translucent. She's almost see-through now. She's not invisible, you can see her, but she's kind of done this thing where she's just a little bit more, she's feeling a little bit worried. So she's gone a little bit, she's purposely making herself a little harder to see. So yeah, I'm just gonna,
Are you okay, Bettany?
I'm just this is a little weird. I'm not, this is what happened when I saw some of the, Zatsurai in the tunnels, so probably best if I just maybe don't, garner too much attention. Let me just hang out in the back. I'm a lover, not a fighter, so that's the thing. So she kind of just hangs back as you guys kind of walk up this space. and you're walking, and you do notice that this is definitely a man-made tunnel. It is straight and narrow and long. You can see every few instances there are wooden trestles holding up different parts of the roofs that have been supported. You make it maybe about 30, 40 minutes as you're walking through this, and behind you, you hear boom, 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 and the tunnel behind you is starting to collapse. Everything now is just and as you kind of look back, it seems like it stabilizes for a while, and you're like, okay, I think we should be okay. And then it's go, 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 go. So I need everyone to do me a favor. And we're going to do a bit of a skill check. So I would like everyone to roll an athletics check for me, because you guys are just trying to haul ass away from this collapsing tunnel.
This is where Nate kills all of us.
Just so everyone knows, in the lower left-hand corner of D&D Beyond, there's an option to roll dice.
It's true. If you want to even take it a step further, if you look on your skills, that little button where it says like +3 or whatever, if you click on it, it'll just roll it and add your bonus automatically.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
That's so
Wait, so we're doing an athletics, right?
Yes. Yeah, athletics, please.
God damn it! That didn't help me at all.
I rolled an 8.
An 8? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool, though.
I rolled a 5, but that was very cool.
I rolled a 3.
Not feeling great.
Ivo rolled a 22.
Okay.
Whoa!
So Ivo clearly starts getting out in front, but what you notice behind you is just
Did you use a D100?
the collapsing mine is just going just a little bit too fast, and you're trying to get out of there, but it just knocks a few of you onto your feet, and like you're stumbling, and like it's covering you. The dirt is there. Everyone is able to get back up and try to make it out, but you're hurting now. Everyone that failed that check has suffered. Where did I roll that? Here's my. It's not great. Ooh, yeah, that's not great. Has suffered 12 points of damage.
Oh, God.
You're able to get back up and you're running. As we're.
I'm at negative.
Did you die? So you're at 0 now, yeah? Okay. So.
No, -4.
Yeah, so you'll just hit 0. It doesn't negative you. Don't stress it. But anyone who's at 0 is unconscious. So Zunis behind you is bleeding out. Let me see where that puts Bettany.
Wait, weren't other people at lower than 8?
I don't know.
Someone was at 5.
I was, but I healed up.
He did.
I'm only at 14. Try and help you if I can.
Bettany actually is going to be pretty low now too.
DM, I passed it though, right? It was right. I rolled I passed the
22.
check, right?
Yeah, you're good. You're not going to take
22?
any damage on that.
Okay.
So Bettany did take some damage on that one. She failed, but she's still alive. She sees that Zunis has fallen in front of her, so she is going to, I think, use just one of her spells and try to pick you up. And on the way back, she goes, "Now's not the time. Get back in there!" And you see her kind of like, almost like whistle a little bit in kind of like a musical melody. And she is going to cast Healing Word as that happens. And you are just real quickly going to get back some life. Let me just see how much.
There you go, Zuni.
Healing
Zune.
Eh.
You owe her now,
There's-
Zuni. You owe her.
She's just going to give you a little top off so you're not unconscious anymore. You're only going to get 4 points of health back. But you're not dead.
So I'm at 4? Cool.
Correct. So you guys are still running. You're still running. And it's still boom, boom, boom. You hear them just keep going, and the trestles are starting to crash. You're starting to see some of them now in front of you also start to crash. You can kind of jump over the logs as they're happening, but as you're trying to make way, you're really having to be a little dexterous. So I need everyone to roll an acrobatics check for me now as well, as you're trying to get out of this gamut, running up and trying to get out of this mine.
18.
Okay.
Wow. I love rolling through
You gotta-
D&D Beyond.
I got a 4.
I have 10.
10.
Wait, is acrobatics something that I can click for on D&D Beyond?
Should be on the
It's the
skill
first
list.
one, yeah.
Oh,
It's
weird.
just-
Oh, I see. I gotcha. Oh, no.
I don't think I have ever used animal handling, but I'm excited to.
13 for me.
13. Did anyone roll below 10, just so I know?
Yes. Ivo did.
Okay, Ivo, you take 6 points of damage as you're running, and just one of the wooden logs kind of falls down and just like pulls on your shoulder. It doesn't knock you completely down, but you are pretty. Ugh. So you guys are still running, trying to get out of this mine shaft, just running, just doom, doom. And like you can now see that there's a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel as it's coming up. And you can see it, but it's still a good ways away, and you guys are out of breath, out of energy. You're barely hanging on. I need everyone to roll a constitution check for me now as well. So just a straight cons check. As you're trying to see if you can still just keep powering through this run.
8.
I got 8 as well.
Ooh, I got a natural 20 plus 2.
And then Ivo, where'd we end?
Hold on.
Yeah, sure.
I messed up for a sec. Give me a sec. 7.
7. Okay, so for everyone that rolled less than a 10, you just can't get the energy. You can't outrun what's happening behind you. You just don't have the stamina in you anymore. Everyone who failed takes another 5 points of damage.
I'm back to 0.
God.
Let's see how Bentley did.
My nat 20, can I help him from being completely crushed?
How do you want to do that? You want to just like pick him up with you and take him out?
Grab him, yeah, by the scruff of his neck,
For sure.
his cloak, and just drag him along with me.
Yes. So
Very
we're gonna
kindly.
we will let you grab him. I'll allow it, and I'll say that he doesn't take any damage since you called out that you're trying not to kill him. Zunis, though, you are essentially unconscious, so we're gonna practice our death mechanic here. So on D&D Beyond, you'll probably see that when you drop to 0, it gave you a new little thing. It says like death saves, etc. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
what I would like you to do is there should be an area in there to roll just a d20. If you click on one, I might be wrong on that. Let me double check.
Just any d20? Yeah, on the lower left-hand corner.
Yeah, just roll a d20. And let me know if it's 10 or up, or if it's below 10.
It is 16.
Okay. So in the successes category, I want you to tick off 1 success. Basically, if you get 3 successes, you stabilize and you're no longer dying. If you get 3 failures, you are dead completely.
Oh, Zeus.
Oh, it doesn't. I can't tick it off per se. Like I click and it takes me into. Oh, success! Yeah, got it. I figured it out. Cool.
You're right. This is the darkest version of Goonies. I'm gonna kill Chunk. So you guys are just hauling, trying to get there. Thad with the leftover remains is just his energy. He tries to pick up Zunis and keep running, and you keep running. And as you start to escape, you see that the light is kind of getting brighter and getting brighter and getting brighter. And you do make it out of the collapsing tunnel before it does. Excuse me. But on the as you go out, you quickly realize that this was basically situated near the top of the mine, and it was almost really more of a vent shaft than a space of travel. So there's no platform or anything there, and you're hauling ass trying to get out of this stuff, and you come, ass over elbow, just rolling down this hill as you're trying to get out of it. So I need everyone, with the exception of Zunis, to roll a dexterity saving throw for me. So again, you can do that in the saving throws area. Just click on that dex. Zunis, you are immediately going to take damage because you can't save from this. I'm just going to see how bad it is. So,
Oh boy.
Thad, you said you grabbed him. If you could do me a favor, I would like you to roll an athletics check to see if you can hold on to him.
Okay.
I got 15 for the saving throw.
Oh, dang it. I got a 15 for the saving throw as well, but only a 8 for the athletics.
Okay, so Ivo, how'd you do on that save?
13.
13. Okay, so everyone made the save. You were able to kind of roll and catch yourself. You're not going to take any damage, but Zunis one kind of lands, and he immediately takes damage on hitting, which is going to cause 1 failure. And because you were dropped again and rolled further, you're going to take another bit of damage, which just means in this case 2 failures. So 2 failures and 1 success. So just a heads up.
Oh wow.
Dooney!
Hold on.
Got you, Zunis. Don't worry.
So I need to get 2 successes in order to save my life
Correct. 1 more failure and you're
in
dead.
a row.
Your fish wife and children need to see you.
Right. I am, as I come to rest, I'm immediately, my combat background is going to kick into effect. I roll to my feet as quickly as possible. I'm going to get over to Zunis and cast Spare the Dying.
Okay, solid. So Spare the Dying basically means you don't have to worry about successes anymore. You immediately stabilize. You're still unconscious, but you cannot die in this moment.
Nice.
Got to have that cleric on hand.
Thank you.
That's why we always keep you nice and liquored up. You always think better. Fight with you.
So
I used to drunk would save my life.
You do all start to come to rest as you're kind of skidding down this hilltop in this really craggy rock area. And it's strange, there's not a lot of other hills. It's mostly just foothills in this kind of one area. But as you kind of come to rest at the base, you kind of look around, the dust starts to clear, you kind of settle, all of you are kind of there. You have the unconscious body of Zunis lying on the ground. Bettany has made it able safely. She's really beaten up and bloodied. She didn't come out of this very well. Several of you are also really beaten up and bloodied. And what you notice is the dust settles maybe about a half mile kind of to the, I'm thinking about this right, to the south. You can see that there is some chimney smoke in a village. And I will say with the history check you had before, Rowena, you can tell now pretty clearly that this is almost certainly the city of Griffin, the town of Griffin, which is a small mining town on the floating island of Wadep. But as you kind of come to a rest now, behind you, you hear more boom, boom, and it's a little faded because it's underneath. And you just notice that the mine is now starting to collapse, just and just as you see it from that vent space that you guys came out of, it's just this huge plume of dirt and smoke as the mine inside has collapsed.
Wow, that was a close one.
Jeez.
What else can we do for Zunis here? We are in the village.
Yeah, poor Zuni. We got to bring her back to consciousness.
I can absolutely cast some healing on him. Cast some Cure Wounds. His health up a little bit. Now that he's stable, thankfully. Anybody else have any sort of healing properties or anything of that sort? And how's everybody doing? Is it anybody else as higher in need?
Bentley kind
I'm
of.
okay.
I'm strong. Yeah, I'm good still. I don't have any healing powers, unfortunately, but I can definitely be of any assistance needed if we need to carry him any further if this doesn't work.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and heal Zunis
So you're gonna cast Cure Wounds on him
at level 2.
Cool. Go ahead and just you can do it on D&D Beyond too. If you just click on that that space, it'll roll for you there too.
Okay. If I trust it in that I just rolled an 8 on my first one and I don't want to undo it.
Take the higher one. Take whatever you feel good about. Don't stress it.
Okay. Okay, 15 points of healing for Zunis.
Wow.
So
don't spend it all at once, big guy.
So Bettany kind of like starts to stand up, and you see her kind of like grabbing your arm. She's like, it's like, don't worry, I got this. And she starts to get a little sassy, but she is feeling it now, and you just see her kind of like grip herself, and she's like, these motherfuckers ain't gonna kill me. And you see this like, just like glow come around her, and she's gonna cast Healing Word on herself at 2nd level. And she's gonna give her, oh, not great. Okay, she rolled double ones. Sorry.
Oh.
All right, but she will get.
Motherfuckers are gonna kill her.
She will get 5 points of healing. Back from that. So 5 points. Apply changes. Okay, so she's still doing a little rough, but she's there. She's not as bad.
Clayton asked you a question in the chat.
Oh, sorry. Oh, thank you for asking, Ivo.
Yeah, looking out for you.
We are a team.
Yeah.
So, kind of seeing some of that stuff too, and seeing that you're a little battle damaged as well. Bettany will walk over to you and be like, "Don't worry, sister, I got you." And she kind of like hums a little tune under her breath, and you just feel like this really energy start to pour into you. And she casts that same spell in your direction. Not much better. You're going to get 6 points of healing.
I'm going to go ahead.
Look out for each other.
I'm going to go ahead and heal Bethany a little bit in return as well. Just at level 1, I'll cast Cure Wounds for 7 points.
Nice, alright. So back in double digits, that's good for her.
Alright.
Hey, DM, I have something I'd like to do when we're all healed up.
Yeah, up to you.
I'd like to pull out my sending stone and give Torm a call.
I need to check one quick thing on sending. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Just want to see if there's a range on it at all. Nope. Yeah. Okay. So again, you can do one. It's not a back and forth, but you can do a 125-word message to Torm.
Hey, Torm. Made it to Wadep. Barely alive. Can we meet up? Keep it on the down low. That's 18.
That'll work. Also, I am pooping. So it kind of takes a little bit of a moment, but you do hear back. Okay. Thanks for the heads up. Still in Tharvan. I can try, but boss asked me to come to Ball, and then it cuts out because I think that was 25.
Oh, okay, Torm. He's the one who wanted to talk to me. Anyway, I'm glad I got that out there.
Ball so hard.
That's all I needed to do with Torm.
Yeah, and you remember, you know what he was talking about because the boss had a big job planned on the island of Baldarg. But he does know where you are now.
Yeah.
And you know where he's going to be soon.
Okay, cool.
So, you kind of are in this space. You're now kind of in a field. As you look around, it's a very odd landscape. There are trees. There is grass on the ground. But there's also just a lot of smoke in the air, most of which coming from Griffin. As it's a mining operation, like it's got a lot of industry there. But the city, the floating island of Wadep is very unique. It's before it was pulled up out of the ground, it was an ancient city and one of the biggest ones in this space. So this floating island is almost an entire floating city. You can see in the distance buildings, homes, some tall, some small. They're not super close to you. They're still probably 20 some odd miles in the distance. But you can see them because it is dense and it is very metropolitan off in that direction. It's almost like, if we were in today's time, someone just scooped up London and just threw it up 1,000 feet in the air. So there is some greenery. In this particular space that you're a little bit further outside of the major city. There is some greenery. But it's hard to tell. The closest thing that you could probably get to is the city of Griffin, the small town of Griffin. That's about maybe a quarter mile away from where you guys kind of landed on this hill. So you could walk in that direction, or you could kind of continue forward.
Does just to be clear, Zunis, you're back in conscious, right? You're back with us, buddy.
I believe so. I don't know if I'm conscious. I just know I'm alive still.
I think he gave you 15 health points, so you should be alive again.
I didn't update my HP if I need to, or
yeah, I would.
Still...
Yeah, I would add 15 health points back.
Add 15. Get in those double digits.
Wow.
Yeah, dude,
right.
You're doing good.
Cool. So yes, I am conscious again.
DM, can we get a map for kind of a little bit of reference?
deciding if
just
it's
of our
fair.
options of where to head to next.
So I'm not going to give you a map of Wadep just yet.
Okay.
Although I will say that Rowena knows it pretty well, as she grew up here, so I can give you some clarity. I will try to give you a portion of the map, but I will also allow you to see a little bit of the town of Griffin because you're pretty close to kind of make it out.
Just thinking we need a little perspective on things, and then also to the group feeling like we're all a little worn from battle. It might be best to kind of rest up a little bit, and get or maybe reward Thad a little bit with another pint of ale at the tavern.
So
that's what I was thinking.
Well earned.
This is the town of Griffin. And you can see it from a distance. You can see that there is, it's again about a quarter mile away, so you can't really see that much detail, but you can see that there's some activity. There's chimney smoke, etc. Kind of from there, you can see the dust still coming from the mine and the dirt still coming from the mine. In terms of Wadep, here's what I'll give you. I'm gonna try to do it kind of fast. We'll do this. Let me open it up.
So what I'm thinking, I'll talk to the group while you're setting that up, DM. Probably best to head to the town, but wondering if we could also perceive of any. Clearly something went terribly wrong in the mine, and they're like these killer cube monocle wearing type of folks who are taking over and just killing all these people. So wondering if they've made it to the surface and have also headed to the town. So maybe we could kind of investigate the area to see if we notice any cube-like tracks or anything that show signs of like danger, and then try to make our way to the town to try to rest up, but do so cautiously. That's kind of what I think might be the best next way to go with everything.
So this is a quick zoom in shot of where you are on Wadep. You are at the city of Griffin, or near the town of Griffin, which is that mining town. And this is almost in like the northwesternmost point on the island map of Wadep. Rowena would know this area. It's one of the few areas on Wadep not just covered in buildings. And it is kind of part of like the ancient edge of this ancient city. It's a relatively older place. Some of it has a lot of overgrowth. There is a relatively dense wood nearby. There's a lake going to. But let me give you the full map of Yaren, and I think that might also get the rest in perspective, so you can kind of see a little bit.
I vote. I agree with you on our plan of action, and I also think by some, what's the word I'm looking for? Some judicious listening and asking of questions, we can probably ascertain what the town's point of view is on the goings-on in the mines. They might not have fully realized what's going on there yet. But one thing is, I just need you guys to kind of cover me and just keep an eye out for me, because in case you guys forgot, this place is ruled by my murderous ex-fiance.
Oh.
The island on the whole, not Griffin.
But do you know anything of Griffin?
Not off the top of my head. It's a nice place for a day trip. It's calm, like the DM said. It's kind of like the Queens of New York City, Wadep. And
I'd like nice day for day trips?
My girlfriends and I used to go out here to do shots. But Wadep has its seedy underbelly.
So I circled where Griffin was in the big map to try to avoid some of the smaller detail because I want you to discover some of that as you know it. Again, Rowena would know this area, at least of it. We'll say sure the day trips are fun. It'd be weird to take a day trip to a mining town, but why not? But yeah, so basically it's in like the northernmost area, and the main city is also called Wadep on the island of Wadep, and that's probably like 2 or 3 days journey south and eastward, and along the way there are a few other areas. Rowena would know this, so I'll share it with the rest of the group. For the most part, if you kind of think of like New York and how it's split into different boroughs, when the city was scooped up and people just tried to like make do with what they could, it was essentially like each borough, each neighborhood was kind of made into its own city, and kind of into its own level of governance, with the capital city still being called Wadep, and still kind of being where a lot of the kind of center is. So there are a few smaller towns or smaller cities before you get there, but they're almost all still densely packed in. Like there aren't like huge swaths of land or plains in between each city. It's very metropolitan in that case.
Gotcha. Rowena, knowing what you had said prior, do you want to try to disguise yourself in any way?
Yes, and actually, I think I took it, or I didn't end up getting that. I would like to disguise myself. I don't have a disguise kit, but I do have a change of clothes, and perhaps there's something else we can come up with.
Is there something that, like a head covering, something that we can really, like put over your head to really disguise you? Or maybe Bettany, since you're a little bit of a master of disguise, is there anything that you can add that you think Rowena might be able to provide to her that she might be able to use to kind of change her appearance?
Well, I mean, I might just be able to do a pretty good amount of makeup. Like I've hidden myself that way really well. I could try and do that. I'm not the best at it, but I've done it for myself a few times. Most of my masters of disguise and my spells are really more for myself, so I don't know if I'd be able to do it to someone else. I can make her invisible, but it would only last for about an hour.
Is that a one-time spell?
I could keep casting it, but I can't cast it that much.
How about let's focus more on the disguise. How well can you just make it so that it's more discreet in her appearance, so that she's not immediately recognizable?
Well, if we've got maybe 10 minutes, I can take a crack at it. Sure, yeah, Zunis, I'm happy to hear whatever the ideas are. Mine are maybe grasping at straws.
I hate to be so topical, but could we create some kind of mask out of cloth that we have?
I could certainly try.
Wait, what do you mean by topical, Zunis? What's going on?
There's a whole other world you wouldn't understand.
It's happening under the sea.
I don't think I want to know about this world, Zunis. I do have a change of clothes into fine clothes, but that might be a little too ostentatious if they're looking very elegant.
I feel like maybe having Bettany try to disguise you as best as possible and put on some non-discreet clothes. I think that's the best way to go. Keep you incognito.
Bettany, are there any adverse side effects to invisibility? Because in the 10th Kingdom, they say once you're invisible, it leaves you wanting more and more invisibility, and you get kind of high on it.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the 10th Kingdom is, but I mean, I go invisible all the time just for funsies, so, and I don't seem that much. I mean, again, I can only really have it last each cast for about an hour, and right now I could probably only do it once, with how much ability I still have left. But if we took a rest, I could probably make it last. If I didn't do anything else too daunting on my magic, I could probably make it last for about 3 hours.
Perfect.
Why don't we do this? I was just going to say, Rowena, as your bodyguard, advising you, why don't we let's have Bettany cast invisibility on you now, and let's investigate the town, and then maybe if we can go and find this spot in the inn, we can rest up, and then when we leave, just disguise you. So maybe that's best when we first enter to have you invisible.
That sounds great to me. Now, keep in mind, I don't think Jackson would come all the way out here. He's very much a Manhattan bro type. But
a financier douchebag, as they would say.
He's got a Patagonia vest.
Patagonia, the Grand Kingdom of Patagonia.
But it's possible, he's got spies everywhere. Then again, I have allies some places, but this is the case where we want to play it kind of safe till we need to. So I agree with Ivo. I always trust you as my bodyguard. You've always had my back. So yes, let's go with Ivo's plan.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to do that. And so she looks at you and she kind of like looks you up and down and she says, "Don't want anyone to see you. Invisible, bitch!" And then you're just invisible.
Thank you, Bettany. I owe you one.
You're very welcome. Now we just recommend that you try not to hurt anyone, try not to cast anything, and for the most part, try to stay quiet because they can still hear you. It's not impossible that someone will see you if they notice. So, but you do.
I could do the first two. Being quiet's hard for me, but I'll try because it's my own life in the balance.
But yeah, you are invisible, and you can make your way down to the city of Griffin if you'd like.
Cool.
And enter through
the
main space. Cool. So you do walk down. It's not very far from where you are, maybe 15, 20 minutes at most of a walk. And as you start to walk into the city of Griffin, kind of down the main road, because you have to loop back, you do pass this ancient, huge wall. Like, it was clearly the ancient perimeter of this city that has...
is this on the right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it is quite huge, like probably 60 feet tall in places that haven't completely broken down. It's decrepit though. It's old. It's ancient. I mean, the sundering of the world happened 1,000 years ago ish. So this is an ancient standing. In the gap of the wall, it doesn't seem like it was the original opening. It was just straight through a crack in it, like a huge gap. It's probably about 50 feet, 40 feet wide. The road continues through it and into the city, into the small town of Griffin. And as you walk in, you see that most of the buildings here look very familiar, or similar, I should say. They're all these blue slate roofs. They're clearly made for a lot of function. There are obviously houses here, but a lot of them are like processing buildings. They're there to break down the mining material, they're to break down the ore, they're to load the ore. There are carts and wagons, etc. But as you walk through, the town is just a bevy of activity. People are running in and out, things are moving, people are trying to grab water buckets and stuff as they're trying to address this huge, clearly unexpected explosion that happened in the mine. People basically don't even realize that you've entered the town. It is just a huge amount of people running around, trying to scramble, figuring things out. People are grabbing folks. Some folks are trying to load up things and head out of town. Others are trying to just figure out what's happening. Some of the buildings close to the mine have been destroyed. There is quite a bit of destruction after the mine exploded.
So the buildings that were destroyed, you're saying they're from that initial explosion, right? There's nothing else that's currently happening in the town. It's all from that initial blast.
Correct. Most of the activity seems to be people going towards that mine shaft, trying to clear rubble, get people out of there. There's not very many people. It's not the world's biggest town, but there's probably about 60 people-ish just running around trying to figure out how to handle this disaster.
Are there any weird cube floating or flying cube people? Or no wings, cube people with monocles?
No. Right now you just see people. Now there are a lot of different species here and races. So there are dwarves running around. There are humans running around. You can see the intermittent elf. There's a half orc. There's a few different species running around, but nothing like that.
Gotcha. So it seems a little chaotic. I still think we should kind of try to identify maybe a tavern or an inn. I feel like we should press, even if people are chaotic, we should press forward with it.
Maybe if there's anyone who is, like, as we walk towards the inn, if there's anyone who is heading out towards the mine who seems like they might be familiar with the town or be a miner themselves, just Thad would one of them over and ask what they know.
Yeah, so you can like just grab someone that's moving that way, and you're like, "What's going on?" And person kind of tries to shimmy out away from you a little bit, and he's like, "Now's not the time. We're just trying to make sure everyone's safe. If you're here to help, come help. Otherwise, I don't know." And he just like runs off back towards it. Yeah, not getting a lot of direction from these people as they just all seem to be putting all of their effort into clearing what's happening out there.
Can we just wander in a little further and perceive?
Sure. Yeah. So as you walk through, you can see that the building's closer to the like main road, kind of closer to the wall. There is a pretty big building that looks to be a tavern. It's got a bunch of stuff. It's got some signage on the door, and the signage looks like almost like a deep, craggy, jagged cylinder with wings on it, and it says the Winged Shaft. And like underneath that hanging as well as like two ale pints like crisscrossing or like clinking with each other. So you assume this is a tavern or an inn. And it is, if I circle it here so you see it, it is this thing I've circled in red.
It seems like there's only inns and bars and no restaurants.
It's the bedrock of the economy.
That's true.
There's no Mongolian barbecue.
Technically, there's no YCs here, bro. Technically, technically, restaurants don't really exist. It's all either an inn or a tavern.
Gotcha.
All right, shall we enter?
May as well.
I mean, you're asking 3 alcoholics, it seems like.
You guys want a drink?
All that we have is inns and bars.
So you open the door into the inn, and it has been turned into kind of a makeshift hospital.
Oh, good.
There are kind of litters and cots along the floor. People are in different states of consciousness. Some are crying out in pain. There's probably about 15 people on the floor, about 3 or 4 taking over them. You do notice that there seems to be one particular person kind of taking all care of most of it. It's a dwarf woman, relatively thin for a dwarf, and on her, she's wearing leather overalls. She does have a bit of a hard hat on that's kind of cut out of, like, shaped out of wood, with a little space for like a candle and a torch on top. And at her hip, hanging off, is a very elaborately designed pickaxe. Like, there's no way this pickaxe is actually used. It seems to be more of a symbol of station than anything else. But you hear her kind of talking around through people, and she says, "Bring the water. Bring it down over here. Yeah, that one over that way. Yeah, bring down the whole thing." And she's just like giving orders, talking as things are whizzing by around her.
Dad approaches her, makes a beeline towards her. As I'm a healer. What can we do to help?
Yes. Welcome, stranger. Always good to see another dwarf. If you're here to help and you can heal, please. She kind of points over at 3 people that are on the ground. One is like really badly bleeding from his head. There's a few other ones that are there in unconsciousness. These are the worst of them. If you can heal these 3, it would take a lot of the load off.
I'll cast Spare the Dying on the unconscious if that's necessary, and maybe see and gauge, if other people need just like physical medicinal help, or if I need to employ magic.
Gotcha. So as you cast that on each 3 of them, like you can hear they're like really strange, just wheezing breath start to level out and even out, and they're now breathing deeper and more stably. And she kind of looks up at you, or like looks at you because you're kind of eye level, and she gives you a nod of thanks, and she says, "Thank you. We were scared we were going to lose them, but it's good to know that they're still going to be with us. If there's anything more that you can provide, there's a few people. The young lad over there, he broke his arm. I'm sure that could be mended if you have an ability to do so.
We'll help as much as we can, myself and also my party here. What was the cause of all of this violence?
We don't know. The mine suddenly exploded. We had heard a few miners run out and claim that there was some type of gas leak. Some of the miners were unconscious or knocked out. We tried to send in a recovery crew, and before we could, and she just breaks down. She's now completely sobbing in tears. She says, My son was in there when this happened, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's gone. And she's just now completely flummoxed. So she's had a moment to kind of just finally stop and like absorb the adrenaline. You can see that she's literally sat down on the floor. She's got no more emotion left, and she's just sobbing. And she says, she starts trying to get a hold of herself, and she shares, I don't know what happened. We were about to go in and try to grab them, and they're
like to cast guidance on her and say, I can tell by your stature and station that you are a strong leader of this town, and your people need you now. Stand with me, and let's continue to do our best to protect our community.
You said you cast guidance, right? So that's a D4 I'm adding? Okay. She does kind of slump up a little bit, and she kind of looks at you, and she goes, thank you, friend. I'm appreciative of the help. I'm worried for my child. I'm sure you would feel the same. My name is Overseer Sherman. I operate and oversee the mine here. The mayor has gone to just try to help with the rescue mission as I've pulled people back and tried to move and clear as many people as I can away from there. We truly don't know what happened. There were no signs that there were earthquakes. There was no other issues with seismic activity, and I just don't know how we recover from this. The mine is almost completely collapsed, almost to the entrance. I've never seen anything like that before.
There was no warning? Are you... I know the gas was mentioned, but did anyone mention any sort of foul play or cube-like mechanisms?
No. I've never heard of anything quite like that. I can tell you that Mayor Gerhardt was speaking with a few of the miners, the first ones to warn us of the gas leak. But none of them reported any type of shaking or quaking or any other collapse. It's an old mine, but we've measured it, and I'll bet my dwarven blood on this that we've had that supported. I don't know what would have caused this other than some disaster from the gods.
My friends and I are here to help you. You know, we are adventurers, and we follow the divine will of Helm. Let us know if there's anything we can do. I'm sure we would all go to great lengths to make sure that your son is safe.
Thank you. I don't even know if we can go in. And she starts to kind of break down and start to sob again. As she's just kind of in there, you know, as she's sobbing, she does probably the most dwarven thing you've seen. She just grabs a random pipe from a table nearby and just starts drinking it. But she's clearly distraught and clearly worried. And you saw what happened, like, because they don't know that you were in it, but they, like, the whole cave system just fell. And you only know of some bodies that were in there, and they were all of the ones you saw before were dead before you even escaped.
Well, I'll go over and I'll attempt to heal the boy with the broken arm.
Okay. So I'll say you probably cast the healing word or something simple, and you give him some health back. He does his arm does mend, and you know, he kind of gives you like a little thank you, sir, thank you. Lets you kind of walk off. Overseer Sherman is just still kind of on the floor. She's trying to hold herself and drink and just kind of deal with things. She gets a moment. She's back in it now. She's ordering people again. She just kind of look over at you. She says, "Please, if you need the rest, there are rooms upstairs that are still available. It might mean sleeping on the floor. Every bed is taken, but if you need a place to stay and you don't mind sharing with others that are here, you're welcome to it. The tavern keep has let everyone here. We've reused this building. I don't know what you've been through, but you seem a little worse for wear as well. I don't know if you were nearby when the mountain collapsed, but it's again, you're welcome to it for all the help you've given us. If you'd also choose, you may want to speak with Mayor Gerhardt. He's up near the mine entrance, or what was left of it."
Let's go speak to the mayor.
As we kind of exit the building, I do want to pause for a moment. I know, Jesse, you had to get out of here soon-ish. Are you still got some time left, or?
I probably should hop, but you all can continue without me.
Yeah. We'll probably start wrapping up here soon anyway. So I'll roll Thad for a bit if anything comes up in the meantime.
Sounds good. Yeah, this is fun, y'all.
Thanks, Yer.
Later, Jesse.
Bye, Jesse.
Bye, Jesse.
So you kind of continue outwards and you go through it, and again, it's still just a bunch of activity. Most of the people running back and forth have stopped. They've almost all now congregated near the mine entrance as you walk kind of down that way. Less than a quarter mile down towards the mine, but almost everyone is kind of there. They've started to form a little bit of a line, just moving rubble, trying to clear an entranceway or at least something into the actual shaft itself. And it's pretty grim looking. The more they clear, the more you are certain that they're not going to be able to get in. The whole space is just collapsed. I'm going to see if Thad would know this. Yeah. So as he kind of goes through, Thad does share. He kind of says, "There's no way this wasn't intentional. No regular collapse happens that way. And so you get the impression that whatever was done was purposeful and intentional. You don't quite know the means yet, but you get the impression that people here didn't expect this."
DM, I just have a clarification question. So the first dead that we saw when we teleported were Urzatsarai, right?
Correct.
But then the rest, we're assuming, were ordinary Wadepian miners.
Yes, that's as much as you saw.
Okay.
And given how you exited, you didn't get a chance to see much else.
Right. I wonder. Well, whatever happens, I can't do much because I can't make myself seen. But this is my homeland, and we should help out however we can. And I wonder who could possibly have it in for these innocent miners, or if they had some conflict with the Urzatsarai.
Yeah, can we go talk? Continue course to talk with the mayor if he's
Sure.
up there.
Yeah, so you could tell his person's pretty easily. He's also kind of directing people and giving instructions. He's a pretty old, frail man, but he does seem to be solid enough to at least just give orders. He's kind of standing on top of a cart, a carriage, like above, kind of seeing and putting people, trying to move people in the right direction. But you can go up to and try to talk to him if you need to.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll go up. Unless, Dunas, do you want to approach him? Otherwise, I will. Dunas?
I say go for it, man.
And I'll hang
Okay.
out quietly in the corner.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go up to the mayor then, and just be like, "Hello," just greet him, and then kind of explain that we were just travelers passing by and saw the explosion and wondering if he knew what exactly happened, or and then any way we can help.
Greetings. I don't know if there's anything that you can do to help. I appreciate that. Just join the line, move the stone. I don't know if this is even possible. But as of now, our efforts is just trying to see if we can at least open back towards the shaft. But we've probably cleared at this point now 60 feet, and it's still nothing. If we don't see anything soon, I might have to call everyone back.
What? Who was down there? Was it just a regular mining day? Were there a lot of people down there?
It's a typical day. At any point in time, we probably have about 20, maybe 30 miners altogether in on a shift. To my understanding, maybe about 5 or 6 left and let us know that they saw other men dying. But the rest, there must be at least 15. But I can't fathom how they survived.
Wait, so you said that some men got out and saw what was down in the mine?
Well, they left before the explosion started. They were warning us apparently of a supposed gas leak. They said that they saw a few men fall unconscious. They came up to sound the alarm and to inform that there was other men dying. We worked to send our rescue crews in, but we were too late. It's almost before we were even at the mine entrance, the explosion started, and I couldn't send anybody in. Two minutes went by, and the whole building came down. The whole mountain came down.
Gotcha. Where are these men now? The ones that ran out and saw the gas leak.
There's a few gentlemen there. There's only one that's honestly still awake at this point, and the others are a little worse for wear, I guess. They just couldn't fathom it. But there is one gentleman still awake. Rowan. He may be okay to answer questions. I've tried to ask him a few, but at this point he's been a bit lost in thought, I guess. It's been a lot for any person to take.
Gotcha. Where is he at right now?
He was getting water from the medic station that we created, not far from here. You can see him, and he kind of points towards this big, just vat, like this huge barrel, where there's a lot of men gathered around. He kind of points at one specific person, this middle-aged human man, hard to tell exactly, pretty burly, pretty thick, and he is kind of sitting down on a makeshift bench out of a stump, just drinking water out of a ladle that someone handed him. But that's Rowan over there. If you needed to speak with him, I would just advise that you be gentle. He went through a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Maybe we'll talk with him, but otherwise we'll help out however you need. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, thank you. And he kind of goes back to
and then step away and kind of console with Zunis and Thad and Rowena, even though she's invisible. Do you guys? It doesn't seem like they kind of feel like their efforts are dire to keep trying to rescue people in this mine. Do you want to try to help out? We could also go and talk with one of the survivors who was down there when we think maybe the cube folk started attacking or gassing them. Do we want to go talk to them? We could also just go back to the town. It seems like this isn't going to be any use to try to pull rubble out of it.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a help we would be. However, I mean, white silence equals white violence, so we could actually, try and
Should we educate ourselves?
I think we should go talk to this Rowan fellow, and then let's help out. And you know what? I will help out quietly and stealthily while I'm still invisible, and then when it wears off, come what may, this is my homeland. I will save the ordinary people of the homeland.
I like that.
Okay. So we want to go talk to this guy first? Rowan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. We're head over to Rowan and approach him.
Is anyone baffled by us talking to someone who's invisible, or is no one paying attention?
No, because you're there.
For
we're
right
talking
now,
in a group. It's just a group talking.
Yeah. For the most part, no one has really paid attention to you. The reality is almost everyone's attention has been focused on this disaster and trying to just do what they can to help people and try to clear this rubble.
Got it.
Yeah.
So the reality is the real truth is the vibe you get, no one gives a shit that you're here right now. You're like the last of their worries.
All right.
So let's go over and talk to Rowan.
So what do you want to say?
So I'll go over and just say, hey, fella, heard you were down there right before the mine blew. Just wondering what you saw down there.
Well, truth is, I don't know if I really want to talk about it, but it was weird. I was next to a few friends and just doing the job. I was loading up a cart, getting the mine ready to go, getting the ore in, and he just fell. He fell, and I couldn't think straight for a bit. I was getting a little bit dizzy, and I just yelled gas, and I did what I could to get everybody else out. That's our protocol when there's a leak or something. We just all start screaming for it, try to get everybody out of the shaft as quick as we can. And I know I didn't want to leave them, but that's what we're supposed to do. Is you don't stop, you just go. And we just started yelling. I grabbed about 5 of us and just said gas, and I just ran as much as I could till I got out. Try to get people.
Has this happened to you before?
I mean, sure.
It
gas
sounds like
leak.
you have protocol. Yeah.
Yeah, a gas leak isn't something. I've been here my whole life. My dad was a miner. His dad was a miner. His mom was a miner. We've been doing this my whole life. But I've never seen anything like what happened after. We were almost there. We would have lost even more if we had actually gone in.
Really sorry this happened to you.
Me too.
Okay, well, take care of yourself. Get some rest, get some water in you.
Yep. Be well.
Okay, so confer again away with the group. So it seems like they don't really know what happened. They don't know what was down there or any trace of these Q people or anything that might come out of it. So I don't know what else good we can do here. And certainly they don't know that we were down there as well. So I feel like it's best to keep that under wraps. Otherwise, they might implicate us in the explosion or anything with their fellow people dying. So part of me thinks that either we go back and rest at the inn, even if it's not in our own room, or quite frankly, we kind of hightail it out of here, thinking that if someone does think that they identify us as being down there, that they're gonna it's not gonna be good. They're gonna think that we caused the explosion because we were down there and we were foreigners who entered the mine.
That's a fair point. I always trust you, Ivo. I'll go with whatever you think is best. I want to help these people, but I also want to keep us out of trouble.
Hey, Rowan. Sorry.
DM, how?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
I
was just going to ask how far is the next town over if we were going to try to venture out?
Let me check. I want to say it's probably at least, Griffin is really on the outskirts. I would say at least a day's walk. Let me just double check.
Okay.
On my map here, how far I made it. Yeah, Rowena would know. The next town, the next big area is a town, a borough called Castleton. And it is about from Griffin 25, 35 miles. But Ivo, you were the one talking to Rowan. I just need you to do me a quick favor and just roll a quick history check. I just want to see if you remember something.
Oh, shit. Ooh.
Has Ivo been here before?
I got a 7.
Yeah, nothing comes to mind from that conversation.
All right.
Ah.
Damn it.
Fucking love you, Nate. That's hilarious.
Well, with some of these, I mean, these guys were probably listening in too. Can anyone else roll?
Yeah, can I roll a history check?
Yes. And I actually rolled one for.
I feel like I have no history here.
I rolled one for Thad, but yes, I will. It's more about what you guys noticed in the mine. Thad actually probably would know. I'm trying to give you guys some chance to flesh it out if you want to, since I'm playing his character.
I got 7.
So I'll let Thad roll it because I think it might be interesting. So Thad did a medicine check on the bodies that were dead, and he knew very well that there was no gas leak. Like, whatever died there, if you guys remember that, they didn't die from gas. They died from poison. And something about Rowan's story doesn't quite line up with that. Like, Thad shared this, like, the poison that acted wasn't a fast-acting thing. So this concept that someone would have just passed out from a gas leak doesn't quite seem to add up with what you saw from the corpses inside.
Ooh.
Do you think Rowan is a little, maybe he might be a guy on the inside of these cube folks to do it?
Roll an insight check.
Interesting. Insight. Ooh, +2. Ooh, 20.
When Rowan was sharing with you, he definitely seemed scared. But the fear didn't seem to come from, like, adrenaline. Something else seemed to be scaring him. And I'll say with a 20, you're putting 2 and 2 together here as you're starting to notice this. The explosions were purposeful. The people were killed purposefully. You get the impression this was meant to cover something up, and there was only one thing very strange that was supposed to be secretive in this space.
The portal?
So someone, right now you only know of one group that would want to hide their existence.
Here's Atzera. But what about Watch Your Sim? How long ago did he come? I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, for sure. So you knew this from the last one. Watch Your Sim was at least 3 days in front of you.
Oh, okay.
So if you kind of connect some of those dots, I'd say your character's probably pretty smart enough to know that. Like, if Watch Your Sim was discovered, escaped, they knew where he was heading, they knew he might send other people back that way, probably need to tie up any loose ends there.
Good thing we got here when
we did. Interesting.
Well, what did the Erzats... I'm just thinking out loud. What do the Erzatsarai want with Wadep? It's... I mean, sure, we have our attractions, but we're just a little old hedonistic town on the north part of Yarn.
What did they want with Tharvan? What do they want anywhere?
I don't
Things
know.
we'll learn as we play.
Well, what do you guys think? Should we go back and question Rowan, or kind of might be a little bit too suspicious if we do? I mean, it's kind of hard for us to be like, at least for me to be like, who came through the portal without giving away that we knew there was a portal down there within the last couple of days or so.
I think we'll look too suspicious, and also they don't know us from Adam, so to speak. They'd have no reason to trust us over anybody else.
Right. So I wonder. Okay. So what do you guys think we should just go back? We definitely need to rest up. A lot of us are very damaged. What do you say we go back and rest up at the inn as best as we can, and then what time of day is it, DM?
It's pretty like early in the afternoon, but afternoon. It's like 1 or 2.
Perfect time for a nap.
Yeah. Should we go take a short rest and maybe even leave? We need to at least heal up a little bit, so we could either take a short rest and then leave in the cover of night to get out of here, or we could just sleep all the way through the night and leave in the morning. Kind of leaning more towards taking a short rest.
And you can choose
and then
if
have
you
a
want to
busy afternoon.
if you do want to like just expound a little bit and just like play a little exposition here, you can say like, hey, we want to take a long rest. We don't want to go into the next morning. So if you just want to like breeze through what you want to try to accomplish, like you mechanically for the game, if you don't want to necessarily sleep now, you can say like, hey, I just want to spend the next couple hours before I go to bed maybe talking a little bit more with the mayor and see what I learn, or I want to maybe talk with that, and then you could say then I want to go take a long rest. So just know mechanically you can do some exposition as well. So feel free to take that space if you'd like. If you want to go try to find an item or buy something, or you're trying to look for something in this moment, you can try and do some of that, and then say, hey, like when we're done, we're just gonna take a long rest at the end.
So I feel like would like to take the afternoon to try to help out, maybe try to to see if we can help out in any way.
Sure.
With continuing to heal the people in the town. Rowena, do you feel like, do you want to maybe go try to buy something that's a little bit more of a permanent disguise, or have us buy it since you're
invisible?
And invisible. We don't want you to walk in stores and start moving stuff around.
Honestly, Benny could probably buy it.
Or have Benny buy it. But yeah, do you think you want to go buy something that we can use to disguise yourself now that we're back in your town, or your land?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was thinking too. And Zunis, I just had a quick question. When you were almost dead, what did you see? Was there any
Ooh. Yeah, Zuni, let's hear it.
Is there heaven?
I saw Helm again.
What about that new god?
It was back to my old god. He was there all along.
I think that's a song. It's a new god, same as the old god, I think.
You sound a lot like this Muggle comedian Pete Holmes. Well, thank you, Zunis. I'm sorry if I put you on the spot with that personal question.
Of course. No, I was happy to field it. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, let's go buy some disguises.
So you can buy some mining gear pretty easily. It's readily available. There's leathers, there's trench coats. So also you are able to kind of do that. You get like a little bit of a wide-brimmed hat that you can kind of pull down a little bit. Or you can choose if you want. There is also like a leather hood that you can use instead of that hat. Kind of up to you how you'd prefer to play it.
I'll get the hat.
Yeah.
That sounds cute.
It's like a super like leather, not quite a cowboy hat. It's more flat and straight, but it's wide, and so you can kind of pull it down and cover a big portion of your face. It's meant to kind of cover up the sun.
Yeah.
You all kind of go to different areas, just helping as you can. Some of you are moving rubble from time to time, trying to get things out. Maybe moving a couple carts. You do kind of lend a hand. The town does seem appreciative of you, even though you're strangers. You get some time to talk through. Does anyone want to just have any other dialogue before we call it and get you guys to rest?
Glad we all survived today.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I think we're good. I mean, is there something to be said about asking without drawing suspicion if a town folk or someone who maybe more of an official person has seen any suspicious or unknown characters leaving the mine?
That is up to the dice, but yeah, we could try.
Let's try it then.
So you kind of wondering, what exactly are you asking, and are you trying to ask anyone specifically? Are you trying to ask the mayor? Are you trying to ask the overseer? Are you trying to ask Rowan?
I'm gonna try to ask not Rowan because I'm a little suspect about his answers. Let's ask the overseer.
Okay. And so what exactly are you gonna ask?
Thinking about the security of the mine, was there anyone who went down there, or anyone you saw go down or leave over the last couple of days who wasn't a part of the normal mining crew, shouldn't have been down there, so to speak?
I want you to roll a persuasion check. Let's see where we end up.
All right, here we go. Ooh, pretty good for persuasion. Nice, 21.
So she's looking at you, and she's still just a wreck. She's, she's almost answering, kind of like she's answering you on the back burner. She's focusing on all the other things she's got going on. She's like, yeah, I mean, every now and then we do get, a few folks that are visiting. There was someone that left without, I guess we couldn't find his name on the docket. It was a little strange. You don't think he had anything to do with it, do you?
Well, what did he look like? Did he give his name?
He didn't give a name. Seemed like he knew where he was going. He didn't stay anywhere. He came up with a mining party, and sometimes we do have visitors. Sometimes that go down to the mines to see people that they know. Griffin's not really the most residential space, so sometimes people come from Castleton and some of the other nearby cities to visit family or even come into work. They work in shifts for months, and so we don't always see everyone. But his name wasn't on. There was an extra miner, so we didn't know where he came from. We just figured it was a clerical error. I didn't get a good look at him, but a few of the other miners did, and they mentioned that he had dark skin. He was pretty tall, which is weird. Most tall folk don't like to do this work. But I didn't get a good look at him.
Is there any way into the mine other than the main mine shaft that blew up?
None that I'm aware of. There are rumors that, I mean, this is just fancy. Others have mentioned that there's a portion of the Underdark that still exists, but that's silly.
That is silly. That's goofy.
I mean, I've been everywhere, and there's no place in the mine that I'm not allowed to be. So I've never noticed anything in there.
Okay. Well, thank you for.
The only thing I would say is Rowan did mention the stranger, so maybe Rowan would know more.
Oh, he saw them?
As you ask that question, her eyes kind of focus, and she says, "Yes, actually, that's weird."
What's weird?
Well, I'm sure it's just coincidence, but all of the people who said they saw the stranger were the people that warned us about the gas leak.
Ooh.
Oh, that's interesting. So the other ones who saw the stranger also got out in time from the mine, and
yeah, I'm sure that's just coincidence, though. No one here is bad. Everyone here, we're good people here.
Right. Okay. That is strange. Okay, thank you for your time.
I'd watch out for yourself. I just beam that knowledge over.
She looks at you and she is alarmed. she doesn't know how to respond to that, but she seems very concerned.
Woman to woman.
Rowing is an ally.
So can we? It sounds like Rowan has a little more info than he's been letting on, at least initially. Can we go back then and find him? Is he still up near the rubbish or the mine shaft that blew up?
It's been a few hours now. You could try to go find him in that same space. He was just resting with kind of amongst the rest of there, trying to help him. So you could try to find him. I'll say we'll do some of this for that. So you kind of walk up, you go back to the mayor and say, "Hey, I'm trying to find Rowan." And he kind of looks around and he says, "Oh, that's weird. He was just here."
Wonder where he went.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you see where he went?
I'm sorry. I didn't. I wasn't paying attention to that, so I don't know. But he couldn't have been more than a few moments that he was here. He said he wasn't feeling well and that he wanted to rest for a bit. His home isn't far along. He's one of the few people that actually live and work here. His home is just down the way, almost near the wall. So if you wanted to check and see if you went that way, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, man.
I'm assuming I don't need any more details from what was given from the mayor then to find his home. Should I ask for like an exact
Yeah, I'll give it to you. So basically
address
his
or
home,
the look of it?
what's his zip code here? His home is, here, I'll put it in blue. Rowan's home
Is it the upper unit or the lower unit?
is this kind of squarish place that I'm highlighting for you near the wall.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Continue on. Thank you for the info.
So you guys are heading over to Rowan's place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, let's
go
do it.
knock on some doors.
So you kind of, on the door. As you, the door isn't closed. It just swings open. You don't notice anyone.
I say we should make ourselves known before entering.
So you're like calling out for his name?
Yeah, so we're not trespassing, yeah.
Rowan! There is no response.
I'm not comfortable going in.
Can we at least push the door open?
Sure. Yeah, you can and look in. Roll a perception check for me.
Yeah.
In the words of my real life wife, Anna, we should maybe do a fire watch where someone watches the front door.
That's true. I learned it from film school, just like these fine people probably did.
Ooh, I got a 22 on that perception check.
22. You can't see anything really well. It's still daytime, so the windows are coming in. But that's kind of what sparks you, is like, oh, there's light coming in from the window. Oh, the window's open. Ah, fuck, the window's open. So you get the impression that someone was either entering or exiting the window, and there is no one in this like 1-2 room place.
This guy wasted no time getting out of town.
And the window is kind of to the back of the house, or kind of to the side of it near the wall?
There's a couple,
pathway?
but the one that's open is like to the back of the house. Like if you look on the map where the rock is, the window that's open goes directly southward.
Can we take a little excursion around this house and see if we can find any footprints or any markings to show where he went?
So you walk around the house.
Let's go.
And as you start to walk around the house, you look down because you notice this noise that was subtle at first, but it's closer as you there. Slumped up against the window, or slumped up against with his back towards the building. You hear the Rowan who's wheezing with this huge gut wound.
Oh.
And he's not audible, but he kind of looks up at you and he goes, help me, please.
Oh, no.
We'll help you if you tell us what we want to know.
Oh, God.
I don't have a lot of time. Please, what do you want to know?
Look at me. There's a voice coming from invisibility. You don't want to fuck with us. Just tell us who you're working for.
I'm not working for anyone. Some of the other miners said that if we saw anyone coming out of the mine that we didn't see, that we should tell them. So I did.
Miners. Who are their names?
It was just... it was Kravitz. Kravitz stabbed me. I've known him for 20 years and he stabbed me.
Lenny Kravitz?
That is how it's spelled. He stabbed me. I thought he was my friend. He said we couldn't tell anyone about that person. I didn't recognize him. He was a tall man, dark skin. He didn't have a hand. And Bettany kind of chimes up now and she gets hopeful and she kind of jumps in and she says, "Where did he go? Which way did he go?" And he kind of shoots. He said he needed to go to Watem. He had friends there. And he just dies.
Oh, I feel kind of bad, but you gotta be careful.
Rowena, you really kept up some healing him in order to get information out.
You got the info though.
That was savage.
This is very personal to me, and unlike Gunis, I never took a code of morality.
I will say, because I think Clayton, you probably have to get to dinner here, and I think
Yeah, I have to go in a couple minutes. Yeah.
So I'll say for brevity, we ask around town to try to find this Kravitz person. Kravitz is
Lenny Kravitz.
Correct.
Specifically.
Kravitz is, according to the roster sheet, one of the miners who was killed.
Oh, but he stabbed. He couldn't have been killed, so he stabbed because he stabbed Rowan.
Now you're getting onto it. Now you're understanding the ties.
Hey, there's something going down. Okay. Lenny.
And he gave Rowan his instructions, right?
Yeah. So basically, Kravitz told him he shouldn't tell anyone about that person because he thinks he thought he might have been dangerous or whatever. He didn't know. But knowing that Kravitz is still alive and killed Rowan, you have a suspicion that Kravitz is probably connected to the Azatsarai somehow.
Wow. These murders do weigh on a girl's conscience, and I might consult with you about having my sins healed through Helm, Zunis. That was murder by omission, not commission.
Correct.
In Catholic parlance.
But I will say with that, why don't we go ahead and we'll go back to the winged shaft, and we'll go take a long rest.
Shall we give ourselves a long rest?
Yeah,
Should I
feel
click
free.
into that?
Yeah, that's probably a good choice, and I'll do that for Thad as well. And I think that's where we'll end for the night. Sleeping in the Overfull Tavern in the city, the town of Griffin.
Cool.
Cool, guys.